Aye.
Number 3, public comment. We have Donald from Glendon Borough. Yes, sir. Sorry, I couldn't read the last name.
Yeah, my handwriting leaves a bit to be desired.
Could you state your name and
It's
your address?
Donald Young from Glendon Borough.
Thank you.
I would have never got that, Mr. Young.
I should probably print next time. Anyway, I'm here again to speak on behalf of the Glendon Hotel. I was at last month's meeting when you had the preliminary information from your, I forget exactly what it was called, the survey that was done as to what can be done with the property. There's a few things I'd kind of like to bring to light that this board may not be aware of as far as the history of the building. As I had stated before, it was built in 1740. My cursory search left me with that is the second oldest building in the county. The only building older than that is the Moravian Museum, which is only actually 7 years older than our building. It way predates the Bachman Tavern by 13 years. That, the powers that be spent $1.2 million renovating. And as far as the building itself goes, I believe the number was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $250,000 to tear it down and get it pad ready to put buildings on. And it was somewhere between 4 to 7 units, I guess, depending on topography, setbacks from power lines, all of those kinds of things. So you're looking at spending altogether at least, I would say, $500,000 on that property. I actually looked into that property back in 2015 myself. I do a little bit of real estate investing. I had a deal with Mr. Rutherford to actually purchase the building for the back taxes. Unfortunately, when I brought in my structural engineer, the total cost to basically shore up the building and rehab it into 6 units that would be 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and have the what used to be the bar area for, well, technically it'd be commercial space, but I was looking at basically for a workshop for myself, for my own business. I'm a contractor. I'd be staring at about $500,000, which, being a small one-man contractor, nobody was going to write me a loan for $500,000. I mean, unfortunately, the numbers do work. I couldn't personally raise that kind of money. I figured even if all you got was $700 a month, which is not unheard of for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in that part of our borough, over 30 years you'd be looking at about a little over $1.5 million. I mean, obviously you'd probably have to, over 30 years, put a little more money into it, but it would still be a net gain. And you'd be saving, like I said, a very old historic building, you know, that, like I said, predates the birth of our country. So I have to question the wisdom of spending, like I said, about $250,000 to tear it down, get it pad ready, and then have to spend another $250,000 or more to build 4 to maybe 7 apartment buildings. So that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Leggett.
Good morning.
Good morning.
David Leggett from Little Creek Road. Hello again. My question this morning is what has happened with the schedule for the Little Creek Road bridges in reflection of what's going on with the rest of the Benish, or the rest of the Krieger work with the holdups. Have the scheduling changed for the Little Creek Road bridges?
There has only ever been a preliminary schedule, and with this year's activities being changed, I believe that is going to, all of that is going to be changed.
And do we have any idea what that's going to
We
look
do
like?
not.
We don't. Is there any possibility that with what's going on, that the whole project is going to collapse?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Warkheiser, I believe? Morning.
I switch hats. I wear many hats. Because
Although that's a nicer hat.
I like this hat. I wear this quite a bit. I'm the Municipal Secretary Treasurer for Tattamy Borough. I'm the President of the Tattamy Historical Society.
What's your name again?
Deanne Werkheiser. And I'm joining Team Jan regarding the Tattamy Bridge that is being replaced. I call it Tattamy Bridge, Bushkill Street Bridge. You may know it as Bridge 63, I think is what you're calling it. I know it's on here later. I'm here on behalf also of the mayor of Tattamy Borough, who was called out of state for his work. I know you have a copy of his email in front of you. We have a lot of questions. I know I have to be here because you own my bridge. I'm going to call it mine for today just because. I'm here to represent the people of Tattamy who are being put out by this whole construction thing. So you have no time frame on our bridge?
No, that was not the question.
Well, my question, do you have any time frame on?
We have discussion that we have to have in regard to negotiations that are ongoing. The members of the board have received and will be going to executive session after public comment.
So do we have a tentative schedule?
We do not have a tentative schedule until we reach certain agreements.
Okay, is the board aware that Bushkill Stream is a Class A stream?
Yes.
And that everything needs to be out of there? And
No.
I've got pictures. Everything needs to be out of that stream.
No, it's not true.
Unless they request a waiver.
No, it doesn't have to be out of the stream.
Well, I've talked to PA Fish and Boat, and I've talked to Pennsylvania.
As long as
DEP.
as long as we're not interfering with anything, the cofferdams stay. The cofferdam stayed in Bridge 143, which is also a Class A. We unfortunately for
Are they going to shore it
Northampton
up
County,
so that it's not ending up downstream like it's been?
they have in as much as there are now 1-ton sandbags in place of the 50-pound sandbags that were previously there, and they have the concrete K-rails.
So who is coming out from this authority to go check on the statuses of the bridge as they're being constructed?
Mr. Kuklinski, our third-party engineer.
And how does he think this is going on?
Well, he's going to be giving a report later, so
Can we stay for that report?
most certainly.
Absolutely.
It's a
Good.
public meeting.
I got a question.
You're all welcome to stay.
Because that's
for-
my thing. Now, they have to be done by, they're supposed to be done by October 1st.
No.
That is the requirements, unless they
That's-
ask for a waiver with
Okay.
DEP. I've talked to them, and I'm not trying to be flip or anything. We've replaced the Main Street Bridge, which we were involved with,
Mm-hmm.
which is done by the state, which took 2 years because it's a Class A stream. Nothing, you can do work above the stream. You cannot be in the stream from October 1st till April 1st, which is why they were scheduled to start April 1st.
Yeah.
We've been through all this. I've dealt with DEP for various other things. You got to look for the frogs and the snails and the odd critters. So we're trying to make sure that this is done right. You know, I don't know what your requirements are as DEP because you own the contract with them, correct?
That is correct.
You realize that orange construction, stretchy fencing does not constitute making it safe so that nobody drives off the bridge, right?
That would actually be a municipal issue, not a GPA
Well,
issue.
you own the bridge, so wouldn't you
Yes.
guys be in trouble if somebody goes flying off that bridge into the water?
No, Krieger will be in trouble because they're the ones who have the contract.
Well, before somebody does that, maybe you should all go out and look at this site and
we
look at
discussed this
how
at
they left it.
we discussed this at the 2-hour meeting at Tatamy when I was out there to answer questions.
And nothing's been done. That orange
The
tape is
the
still
township
there.
said that their zoning officer was going to go out there and cite them for
You know,
failure to.
there's two towns, there's
There's
two
3.
municipalities.
3.
Well, Palmer's down there, but
Yeah.
they're just kind of hoping that we say enough on their behalf
Mm-hmm.
to do this. Telephone poles have been moved to accommodate this. And see, and these are things that you're not aware, how much this affects my municipality and the businesses that are in my municipality. Jan and her fiance own the grist mill and the grist mill cabin tree. People can't get there anymore. I asked Krieger for a sign. Do you know what their sign said after a while? Road's still open to Summit Nursery. They can't even figure out where they're located at to put up a sign. Krieger Construction said, oh, we've got all this signage up. Do you know there was not one sign on Bushkill Street that said road closed ahead? Not one. I fought for months to finally get something up there so that people weren't driving around making turns on our bike path that is connecting Palmer and Tatamy. You can see here all you want and say, oh, this looks good for them. I don't know if you all realize what you're doing to us. Lantristan has people here. Lantristan now both these businesses took old locations and turned them into functioning, businesses that support not only the Tatamy, but the county and the state at large. They're doing major things. They're taking old buildings and making them worthwhile again. And this is just killing it again. Our bridge is sitting up in somebody's cement yard for what, almost second winter now? Yep. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way that you can get out of this contract with them. They're not doing good work. And it's my understanding that once they're done with this work, they own it for the next 10 years.
No.
They maintain it.
I'm sorry?
They have the right to maintain it for the next 10 years. They maintain
So who owns the bridge then?
GPA still owns the bridge.
So you're going to own these bridges forever?
No.
When do they go back to the county?
After the 10-year project is done.
Well, how many years are we into this project?
The 10-year maintenance period of the project.
So how long do you expect this project to last?
The entirety of the project?
Yes.
We're anticipating the last bridges, if we follow the contract with the addendums that have been made, will be 22. So 10 years, those last two bridges will have a 10-year after that. But earlier bridges will only have 10 years.
How many bridges
so
are they?
Bridge 202, as an example, will be out of the contract at that point and back to the county for 6 years.
So how many more bridges they have to do? And you think they're going to be done by 2022?
All right, we have a contract. I appreciate what you're trying to do.
I'm
We
just
have a
trying to figure
contract.
out, there's got to be some way. So
The General Purpose Authority and the county would have to spend millions of dollars to get out of this contract at this point, and it would be a protracted legal battle. We have been doing, the General Purpose Authority has been doing its level best, including having hired a construction law firm from Washington, D.C. to come in and fight on our behalf to bring this to some sort of conclusion. This problem only presented itself in and around May, June, after the rain season had stopped and they didn't continue doing work. As a result, the General Purpose Authority, as you are well aware, did not pay them for work not completed, at which point we went into a bit of a legal standoff as to how the contract is written and what is there. That is when the General Purpose Authority brought in Watt Teeter of Washington, D.C. to fight on our behalf, and we have been doing that for this point. We could do as you're asking and take a vote today and vote to do away with this contract. You would probably not see a bridge there for another 5 or 6 years as it makes its way through the courts. Or the General Purpose Authority could do its level best, as we are doing, and try to fight with the Krieger Construction, with this P3, and get them to build a bridge. Now, we would prefer to have a bridge going in there. There has been no issue on our part. The General Purpose Authority has at many times met with people out at the bridge site at their conveniences so that they would be able to be given updates. A member of the General Purpose Authority came to a town hall meeting and answered the same question repeatedly by almost everyone in the room so that everyone was satisfied with the answers. You're now coming in with information that is counter to what...
Because you asked us to come here, and you said to come here and express our concerns
I appreciate that, but you're also now portraying things that are not true, so we
What
can't...
am I portraying that's not true? Listen, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to try and help my residents.
We appreciate that, but at that same...
on Tatamy's behalf.
At that same extent...
And they're county residents as well. My tax dollars their tax dollars are going to pay for these bridges.
They're going towards these bridges, and
So who's
yes,
paying for the bridge work?
and to that extent, as I was saying, the Director of Community and Economic Development has done everything she could, reaching out to the different businesses there to try to help, and no one has responded or has taken up that
Well, they
help.
sent it to the wrong location. They just gave her the return thing since it didn't get to them. And we appreciate that. We appreciate
No,
all that
I
help.
spoke, no, listen, wherever it was sent is one thing. I've spoken to them. That was a physical one-on-one discussion. I trust that the information was conveyed because I watched heads nod when I said it. So I know the people heard me.
And I get
Okay.
that. But when they came to us, and I've talked to Krager Construction, this is a 2-month project.
Yes.
So we're just supposed to sit there and go, all right, so they haven't showed up and not come before you. This was supposed to be done in 2018 was the
You've
first
been the
time they
secretary
came
for
out.
Tatamy for.
I'm sorry?
You've been with Tatamy for quite some time,
I have.
and you understand that when you have a contract, you have to follow the contract.
I do, but I think that now we're in a contract that is misappropriation of funds.
It's not.
County doesn't oversee you. You say county has no control over this contract.
This is an authority.
You're an authority that sits on their behalf. So they
Yes.
either made a resolution or a ordinance that created you.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand this. So they can make a resolution or an ordinance to get rid of you. And then if you're not here, then there's nobody to be part of
That's-
this contract.
that's
To me,
again-
that'd be the easiest way to poof. Then we're not out millions.
Actually, you'd be out hundreds of millions then, but
We're
that's
going to be
okay.
out hundreds of millions because we got to
Because the
replace
state-
these bridges.
You're not. You
And
don't
I
want to argue,
understand
but you
this.
are now arguing things that are not.
I'm trying not to argue with
Okay.
you. I apologize. I'm not trying to argue with you. But I have talked to the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Association, Commission. I've also talked with DEP. I've talked with the Northampton County Conservation District. We're trying to make sure that this area of our municipality is not just left the way that it is. Because if it was your backyard, I know darn well you wouldn't be happy with it. If it was your backyard, if it was any of your backyards, you would not be happy with it. You wouldn't. I've been through a bridge construction that goes over the very same creek that you're now replacing. And I've watched them do it, and I saw how it was done correctly. And I knew it took 2 years. So when they came to me and said it's going to take 2 months, I find this very hard to believe.
Okay.
They can't even get rid of it in 2 months. So we need you to keep fighting on our behalf. We need you to make sure that this stays a priority, that it isn't something, oh, we're looking into, we're getting around to it, we're working on it. They've said that they were going to have this done in 2018. We're now at 2019. I don't know if they're requesting a waiver. They can. They have in the past. I've talked to them. I've talked to DEP. I've talked to Fish and Boat. They do have the ability, but are they going to do it? Are they just asking for a waiver to keep going into the creek longer than is required just to hold you off? I want to make sure that they're not taking advantage of us, the taxpayers, and you, because it's my money. The county money is paying for it. It's my county taxes that are paying for these bridges. That's what it comes down to. You didn't magically get money out of the air. I wish I could because I do it for Tatamy. I
Ma'am.
understand the process.
Ma'am, as just being respectful for the time allotted to everyone, we're going to move on. What Mr. Derringer is saying is we agree with you. We're not disagreeing. Although it's not in our backyard, we sympathize because we know it could be in our backyard. What he's saying is the way we're trying to move forward now is going to save us money, hopefully get the projects done soon, rather than firing them or dissolving the GPA and going away. So we are working on it, and I can tell you they're working on it. We brought attorneys in. So, but at this time, ma'am, I have to move to the next
I'm gonna
person to
give
be
you one
respectful
thing.
of time.
Please do not let them start on any bridges in anybody else's municipality until they get the ones that they started on done first. I know you tell me that it breaks the contract. They've already broken the contract. They haven't done the work done. Don't let them do this to anyone else.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Miss Llewellyn?
We-
Could you, yeah, if you could, state your name for the record and where you're from? Yes, please.
I'm Suzanne Llewellyn. I live in Palmer Township. I signed that thing because I thought it was a sign-in sheet for being here. However, I would like to just be supportive of all that Deanne said, and Also indicate the impact the bridge has had on Lanfricent Retreat and Wellness Center, their events, their weddings, their medical. They have a connection with St. Luke's for their lifestyle medicine programming, and the lifestyle medicine prospective residents come there for plant-based meals. The event coordinator, Amanda Grega, our granddaughter, has said that many people can't even find the road find Lanfricent because of all of this, and it has really affected not only Jan's Gristmill House, but Lanfricent, which is a health and wellness center and is doing really good things in the community with school groups for Kellen Foundation, school programs, school gardens, mobile market, going to deserts, food deserts in the area, 39 schools, Allentown, Bethlehem Easton, food deserts, and it's really making it difficult for them to continue. St. Luke's comes there with their residents, and there's all sorts of great things going on in the healthcare area that are being impacted. So what is happening is not only affecting Tatamy and our local, it's being spread. The way this looks is really being spread throughout. Who even knows how far it goes? So the impact is who's the problem, who's causing the problem. It really comes back to you guys. And, you know, that's where you need to take whatever you can. And it's unfortunate, like Deanna was saying, these are two old buildings that could have just completely turned into attractive nuisances in the area, falling down. They were starting to be almost demolishable, if that's a word, like the Glendon Hotel, and they were saved. So in that event, and in that case, I think they should have some consideration. So,
Thank you.
well, maybe it was good I signed in. I don't know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Llewellyn.
Morning. I'm Tom Llewellyn. I live at 2306 Northwood Avenue, which is about a football field away from Penn Pump Park. That bridge has now been closed. It's in my backyard, as we were saying earlier. As Deanne said, as Suzanne said, it's up to you to not let this happen in anybody else's backyard. And it happened in our backyard on the 15th of September. And it's now 17th, or on the 12th. Now the 17th, about 5 days. No work's been done other than plant a big piece of equipment on that bridge and cut it off for use. That's in our backyard now. Should maybe take a look at the other places, the other bridges. I think you have 33 bridges under contract. And keep them from doing anything more in this county that's going to cause problems with the community. They've shut down an artery that drains everything from Route 33 to get to Forest Township. Now, that traffic has to go elsewhere, including a ton of school buses.
Excuse me, is the speaker speaking into the mic?
Is this better?
Are you getting it now, Ken?
Yeah, it's like very soft with these some of the speakers. I mean, the last woman you could hear, but this one you can't.
Well, I'm a soft speaker, but I'm done.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate
You'll have
it.
to read it in the minutes.
Okay.
Kevin, not sure the last name. Rega.
Thank you. Kevin Grega from Lanfricent Retreat and Wellness Center. I just want to have a statement. The Tatamy Bridge closing severely affects the Tatamy Business District. This will impact Vegstock, a local festival that has been affecting our event business, especially weddings for our area. They all want to know when the bridge will be completed for the events. We originally told 2 to 3 months from start to finish. In addition, physicians, medical students that are scheduled to come to our business for their first visit always get to the bridge because that's where the directions are, and Google Maps and all the maps currently don't have that bridge closing for the area. So we are asking for your help in anything that you can do.
Thank you. All right. That will be the conclusion of public comment. We're going to go to Treasurer's Report, and then we're going to break.
If I may, Mr. President, just before we, just to be, so that everyone understands, the General Purpose Authority, no member of this General Purpose Authority had voted for this P3 project. The President County Executive would have never have conceived of or considered this project because it was not well-founded. And for the many meetings that we have discussed, the contract having been deficient in so many manners, we were placed in a position at the beginning of this year, the General Purpose Authority, that we had to choose whether we were going to continue paying and not receiving any bridges done or take some level of legal action. The General Purpose Authority has done so and continues to negotiate with Krieger Construction. We cannot in any way at all force them to do what they're not doing. They have met the requirements of the contract, and of all the things in the world I would never want to do, one of those would be to defend Krieger Construction. I have been a part of most of the negotiations with Krieger Construction to date. It has been difficult at best. It has been cantankerous for the most part, and we are continuing to work towards making this happen. The General Purpose Authority has spent over $50,000 on outside legal counsel to bring some sort of positive conclusion to this. We believe that we are starting to make headway on that, to that end, and we will continue as much as we can to do so with the help of our newly acquired law firm to deal with this, and with our third-party engineer to make sure that we are getting what, in fact, we are supposed to be getting. Unfortunately, this year has been what it has been. Last year, many of the bridges that were said that were going to be done in 5 weeks were done in 5 weeks. This has been a particularly difficult situation, and Bridge 63 is the largest bridge in the P3 project, which confounds this just all that much more. So we thank those for coming, but we will be moving on to the executive session now.
Can I just read
Yep.
quickly under public comment on behalf of Councilman Ronald Rossioli from Glendon Borough, who couldn't be with us today, emailed me this and asked me to share it with the GPA board. And I'm quoting to all, "I will be out of town the day of the meeting, but I wanted to share my personal feelings known about this slowly crumbling and dangerous eyesore in the borough. I have no problems with demolishing it and replacing it with something useful. Sincerely, Ronald Rossioli, Glendon Borough Councilman." Thank you.
Thank you. Before executive session, we're going to go to number 4, Treasurer's Report. Mr. Donchez.
Morning. You have in front of you that year-to-date through August 30th. The first thing is our General Purpose Authority account. You'll see we have assets of cash of $1,358,000 and change, and we also have some receivables and grants, some of our loan funds out there, which total assets of $1,793,000 and change. Our payables are $350,000 note payable, and the difference really, which is our fund balance going into the end of August, was $1,280,051.25. But down on the bottom, you'll see that year-to-date, we do have a profit of $163,279.59, which gives us a new fund balance of $1,443,330.84. On the second page there, you'll see the budget, which is our income statement. through August 31st, and if you go to the third column, which is the actual, you'll see we do have, which is a pass-through grant for the St. Luke's project, the DCED grant of $500,000 has been posted this month, and then on bottom down under there, you'll see halfway through it's being passed through as a $500,000. We get that, Mark, I think, every year for the next couple more years.
I want to say there's 3 or 4 more years left on it. It was I believe, a 10-year commitment by the state.
If you go through, you'll see our year-to-date revenue is $789,349.54, and we come down through some of our expenses. They're pretty consistent, and they total $626,000 and change, which does give us the year-to-date net gain of $163,279.59, and that is our general fund. And then the last page we just show which is our capital projects, and it's basically a flow-through account, and you'll see year-to-date revenues of $1,200,000 and change, and the offsetting expenses equate to that, which brings us to a zero balance. And halfway through, you'll see some of the year-to-date expenses. The auditing services is $7,000, our engineering and architectural services of $101,000, which is our biggest expense there. Legal services to date, $25,000, as Charles has talked about a little bit earlier. And then we did make that one payment, the milestone payment, earlier in the year for the $926,000. Any questions?
The liability insurance, is that a yearly payment, or is that in increments, or under?
That the $119,519.
Yes.
That's an annual payment,
Yeah,
usually
that's
made in January. And if you recall, a couple months ago,
We changed.
well, we selected a new broker. They're out soliciting quotes. We'll have something new to review towards the end of the year, hopefully by December.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dodges.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the payment invoices?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
At this time, number 5, we're going to take a quick executive session.
Gentlemen, we're going to
The
pull you from inside on
No. Things are going good for you?
on your cell phone.
Charles, just to confirm for the record, the purpose of the executive session is to discuss litigation,
Pending litigation.
pending litigation. Thank you. Yeah, we need to call.
Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound. You are now joining the meeting as a leader.
All right, I'm here again.
Hi, Ken.
Hello.
You are on speaker.
Okay.
Scary, scary, scary.
All right, we're going to restart the meeting. Before we go to number 6, I apologize to Mr. Donchez. I have to go back to 4.2 to ask for a motion to approve invoices for payment. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 6, P3 Bridge Project.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Ken, can you hear me okay?
Ken,
I'm here. What's up?
can you hear, Mr. Kuklinski wanted to make sure you could hear him.
Well, if he talks, I'll let you know if I can hear him.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit.
Okay. All right, so I provided my status update to everybody. Does everybody have a copy of it as well as the spreadsheet? The one thing I did add to the spreadsheet, which I thought would be very important for you to see, is the stream restrictions. So you can see on there, I have the stream restrictions shown on there now, so you can see them for each bridge. I thought that was important, because I know that question has come up a few times. Regarding DEP permits, we checked another DEP permit for GPI, Bridge 219, and that was on August 26th. We're providing conditional approval for that one to be sent to DEP. On the final construction plans, we received some final signed and sealed plans, bridges 54, 76, and 188. So there's a total of 18 signed and sealed construction plans now placed on SharePoint. Regarding utilities, I've still been working with all the utilities at all the proposed 2019 bridges. Some utilities have moved, some we're still waiting for. It's been a slow process. Every few days, I'm emailing or calling them to see what's going on. Sometimes there's been confusion as to which bridge is which that they're working at. They've worked at different ones. They have numbers wrong. So I've been going out to the site to verify the utilities. Regarding Milestone Payments, we did not receive a request for payment number 7, which was due on August 31st. I was asked to submit a status letter for the project, which I have sent in yesterday, noting where the current status of everything. As far as construction, Bridge 143, no additional work has been completed since the end of July. The coffer dam was moved previously, is in place, and they are able to work on span 3. The stream restriction at that bridge starts October 1st through December 31st. At Bridge 63, similar. There's been no work since the last week of July. Stream restriction does start October 1st. I will look into the coffer dam today to see if sandbags are still in place, if they have moved. If they have moved, I'll alert Krieger right away to get out there before the stream restriction on October 1st. Notice to proceed was given to Krieger for bridges 207, 119, and 224. At those 3 bridges, right-of-way has been cleared, and utilities have been cleared as well. Once utilities get cleared, that's when I authorize notice to proceed. Regarding the credit letter and change orders, there's still negotiations being given on those. So that's all I have for my report. Is there any questions?
Thank you. 6.2, we have a letter from Mayor Morin regarding Bushkill Street Bridge replacement and potential GPA response. Would you like to read that?
I think it's information since it was given to the county executive. and our question was, is there any formal response? I think when we do the motion, that might suffice as.
All right.
Do we want to do that now?
I'm doing that now.
Okay.
Adding to the agenda, item 6.3. 6.3, I'm going to read the motion and ask for a motion to accept. Motion to release balance of the May 31, 2019 milestone payment to Krieger Construction, subject to Krieger's agreement for substantial completion of bridges 63 and 143 in 2019. Mr. Dertinger will explain what substantial completion of those two bridges mean.
In our discussions, and certainly what we have been doing to date, substantial completion is open to traffic, and in the circumstances dependent on paving possibilities, there may be a winter layer or a temporary layer put on the bridge to be redone at Krieger's expense in the spring when asphalt is again available.
So can I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll
second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And just again, for a point of information, that was based on the letter we received from Benish Engineering. Even though they didn't ask for the payment, Mr. Kuklinski prepared a letter indicating that they had met the milestone issues for design construction, which was 5 additional designs were there, as well as from May 31st to date, additional work as is moving the cofferdam at 143, as well as hammering the rock over on the east side of 63 had been completed.
Thank you. Item 7.0, GPA Rfp Audit Services. Mr. Hartney.
Yes. In your meeting packet is a memo from Fiscal Affairs. If you recall, last month's meeting, you authorized the issuance of an RFP for audit services. Fiscal Affairs and DCD reviewed the responses. There were 3 responses, and Fiscal Affairs' recommendation is to engage Riley and Company again, and the pricing is on the back of the memo, and that's the recommendation from Fiscal Affairs. What we'd be looking for from you is a motion to approve the selection of Riley and Company.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? There you have it, Mr. Hartney.
Right.
8.1, looking for a resolution approving the ratification of St. Luke's financing documents.
Yes. In between our meetings, we were contacted by bond counsel for St. Luke's. They were doing some cleanup work on some previous bonds that were issued through the authority and needed to change some agreements with some of their financing institutions. We reviewed the. We worked with our solicitor and Kevin to review those documents. It's really a paperwork exercise, and you would be ratifying some documents that Tina signed as executive director, making some minor changes to these agreements. Again, as a conduit issuer, doesn't have a whole lot of, there's no liability to the general purpose authority. This was really documents, I think, more to help St. Luke's with financing and loans that they were looking for.
So I'll use the suggested motion.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution approving the ratification of St. Luke's financing documents?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, Glendon Hotel, presentation of limited site reuse study results.
You should have a copy of the presentation in your packets. As you know, we've engaged Civitas Regio to help with a limited site reuse study for the Glendon Hotel property. The scope was to perform a zoning ordinance, research and review, subdivision, desktop review of the property. It's important to note that they did not go out and do field measurements. This was all secondary information. So, you know, it gets you close, but if you go forward with a project, you're going to have to go out and verify this. There was a secondary parcel, so we did some preliminary analysis of whether or not there was a need to acquire that, conceptual building and site layout for residential use. The one assumption that we did make in this was that the structure would be demolished and new construction. And they prepared a 1 to 2 page memorandum and also provided us with some what I'll call back of the envelope order of magnitude cost estimates. So none of this should be taken with, all of this should be taken with a grain of salt that, you know, these are very rough preliminary estimates. Here are some pictures of the site to familiarize yourself with it. The Glendon Hotel is located, I wish I had a pointer, down towards the end of the photo.
The white building.
The white building. This is a shot right in the front. This is a shot looking through the side extension. As you can see, the roof is totally collapsed on the one-story addition. This is a aerial view of the site, and I'm going to just, so you can see the building here. This is the structure in question here. These lines right here is a power line easement. So that's something to consider. And then this is the secondary parcel here that we looked at.
So how far back does it extend? Basic rectangle or further back? Because I see there's another.
Basic rectangle.
So
okay.
This is the
I can't see when
Mark,
you
do wanna
point
use
there.
that screen?
I'm sorry.
Mark, can you use the mouse? I just want to say that you were using the only screen that we can't see. It was working out okay for Kevin and Ron.
Hello,
but
mouse.
Look, this is so much easier.
It was more fun watching
So
you
the
do it the other way, though.
structure is here.
I mean, you know, for our own entertainment. It's been a long meeting already.
The structure's here. The main parcel that structure is on, this
Right.
is the boundary. And then the secondary parcel,
Right.
which is controlled by another property owner, is here. And this is the power line easement that runs through both properties. Some of the major constraints, you had parcel 1, which is the Glendon Hotel parcel, and parcel 2. The 50-foot utility transmission line easement, and then what's immediately behind the structure are steep slopes. You're going up a pretty steep grade back there.
Bless you.
Thank you.
This is the secondary parcel. There's a boat on it.
Is that from Sandy?
It's a shot of the transmission line. So basically what we came up with were a couple of different options. Option 1 and 1A. Option 1 builds 5 units on just parcel 1, and we don't acquire the second parcel. It assumes the steep slope requirements in the borough's ordinance do not apply. We'd be looking at costs of roughly $174,000 per unit. Demolition, utility, site work costs are about $170,000 in that option. And new construction, we're estimating about $100 a square foot. And we used a number of 1,400 square feet for these units. That all could be adjusted depending on who develops it and the ultimate design, but these are just ballpark numbers.
Mark,
Yes.
is it possible to have adequate parking without acquiring parcel number 2? I mean, I know it's probably it's hard to.
Yes.
Yeah, it's, okay.
And then option 1A would be build 7 units on parcels 1 and 2. So you get 2 extra units if you acquire the second parcel. That takes your costs down to approximately $169,000 per unit. And some increase in your demolition, utilities, and site costs, and the new construction still, we're assuming $100 a square foot.
Now, does that take into account cost of acquisition of that other property?
It does not. It
Okay,
does
so-
not. When I looked at this was bought at a tax sale for like $1,600. So
Yeah, but somebody else has got it paying the tax.
Right.
So, okay.
right. And this is the layout of it. As you can see, with this utility easement, and we need to do some confirmation with Met Ed. They're a little difficult to get a hold of, but as far as making sure that it's just that 50-foot wide utility easement that's there. But you'd be looking at 5 parcels over here. There would be parking in the front, and typically with townhome design, you have a spot in the driveway, and then there's a garage underneath that you pull in. So this would be the layout of that. Option 2 is build 4 units on parcel 1. Now, this is where the steep slope comes in, and a lot of this is going to be dependent on going through the subdivision and land development process with the borough. But if they would require us to follow the steep slope ordinance that they have on their books, this is where it would, I think the project almost becomes infeasible then, because you're going to have to push the building back significantly, and you're only able to build 4 units. So this is what it would look like, and you would still be required to purchase the second parcel to meet the minimum 1 acre, and that you'd need relief there because the 2 parcels combined are only 0.93 acres. So this would be very much not desirable from a development standpoint. And option 3 would be, could be demolition only. Which we're looking at $138K. So next steps with this is really where we're going to need some direction and guidance from the board as far as where you all would like to take this. We would need to do some boundary, topographic, and land survey to really confirm these guesstimates.
I would suggest that getting on the agenda of their planning commission to see, as well as, and I guess they have an engineer, I don't know that they have a zoning officer, to see what availabilities there are for variance. A lot of these are not elements that are part of their saldo or their zoning, because these are very obviously pre-existing conditions, as has been pointed out, pre-existing since before there was the United States for this property, and these are issues that were created by other people, either by the allowance for things being sold off, the allowance for the utility easement to go through that property, because I'm betting that the Glendon Hotel outdates electricity. So a lot of these situations are created by other forces that have nothing to do with the saldo or the zoning. And if the township were willing, the borough were willing to engage or address these with us, that would be something that would at least let us know what is possible. I think we can decide all day long what we would like to do, but unless we have a partner in this with the borough, there's not a lot that I imagine we can do. This could just continue to dilapidate on its own. I applaud both Paul Anthony for wanting to take this up, as well as the other members of the GPA who saw this as a reasonable and a public need, especially as the building continues to fall and newer pieces, have fallen over this summer, which, for Glendon has been more difficult than it needs to be, because they literally had to get another sawhorse, something that they were not prepared to do. And when you're a borough of that size, to have these sort of troubles added to it is certainly unfortunate, and I think the GPA has done a great job in addressing this. But at the end of the day, they have to live with any solution here, and I think we need substantial buy-in from them before we would go any further. At least that would be where my vote would lie.
I'm comfortable with that approach.
So then, when they're built, are they then to be sold? Are they to be rented? Like, what's the next? Who owns the property, I guess?
Well, that would be, the element here would be to partner with a developer, a preferred developer, whether that be someone like Habitat for Humanity, CACLV, or even just a private business that would be interested in doing something like this, whereby they could either decide to turn it over or keep it as something for their housing stock.
But the person who reneged on the taxes to begin with is no longer in ownership. Do they have any claim to this after we do this?
You're just getting back to the repository, and that's where everything gets very convoluted. But the person who had owned it still effectively owns it for certain purposes, but the taxing agencies, that is the borough, the school district, and the county, have a say.
Yeah. So
yeah, that.
We essentially control who can take it out of the repository. So when it goes into the repository, it comes off the tax rolls. So there is no taxable income being generated by this property. And then anybody can come and submit a bid for
a proposal,
a proposal for the property. Those proposals get reviewed by the county, the school district, and the local municipality, and all three need to agree to the proposal. So that's kind of how property comes out. So what?
The point of my question, though, is that this gentleman who didn't take care of this property, who owns this property, who didn't pay his taxes, doesn't get the right to come back in and go, thanks, it's my property. That
No.
somehow he gets
No.
eliminated
No,
from the process and we turn it in a new direction.
Once a preferred developer, new owner is identified, the deed is transferred
Okay.
free and clear to that based on their proposal.
So is there any movement that we need to take on this or recommendation?
If we need to incur more engineering expenses to meet with the borough, is that something we need to approve here
I
today?
think it's appropriate to offer a motion to charge Civitas Reggio meeting with the borough to see if variances or these elements could be addressed.
So we'll essentially submit this as like a sketch plan and,
Yeah.
okay.
Can I have a,
myself.
can I have a motion to instruct Civitas Reggio to meet with the borough of Glendon to discuss their next steps, what's needed, permits, things like that?
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, sir.
We've looked at that's the engineer and I think all parties looking at what's gone on with the facade, even the remodeling that's been done to the facade over the years, because that white brick was not something that was part of the 1700s. Recognizes that the building has gone well beyond its repairable circumstances.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to number 10, GPA proposed 2020 meeting date calendar. Highlighted the
In your packet is the proposed meeting date calendar. We've identified the first Tuesday of the month, unless otherwise noted. So I don't think we're looking for action this month. This is informational purposes, so please go back, check your calendars. Let us know if there are dates that don't work or we want to look at trying to find an alternate date. I think the only one that is really in conflict is Tuesday, November 3rd.
I would propose
which
that we
is
eliminate
Election
that.
Day. So I think we need to know that the 10th works for everybody.
All right. Any questions for Mark regarding the 2020 calendar? And it'll be back on the agenda next month. Moving to number 11, new business staff report.
I have no new business.
All right. Number 12, next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 8th, 2019 at 8:15 a.m. And number 13, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We print a new one out because I think it gets updated every time.